Happy holidays. Thank you so much for spending a little time and watching my video. I apologize that I haven't been as good about sending these bad boys out as maybe I could, but I'll do my best to keep up on it, especially as we're moving into tax time now. We got great news for many of you and a change of gears for this newsletter. I plan to cover two tax topics, and I still will, but they're different in content now than they were a couple of weeks ago when I planned this out. First, and one for celebration, is a very good thing for many of us and our closest friends and family. As of October, if you sold more than $600 in items or services and processed those payments by credit or debit card, you would receive a form called a 1099-K. And that payment processor would detail the total dollars of transactions that they processed for you. Is a huge change from what it was originally. And again, for 23 transactions, you'll receive a 1099-K for a payment processor if you receive over $20,000 and had over $200 transactions that they processed. This change was a part of the American Rescue Plan from 2021, and it looks like the intention is to change from $600 to $15,000 and implement that change in reporting requirements in 2024. So all that big uproar about the IRS wants to know anytime you spend more than $600, everybody realized that, hey, $600 is a pretty low threshold nowadays. You can sell bicycles for well over that on Facebook, and they realized we need to come to a more common sense number for what we're really trying to address here. So it's going to be closer to 15,000. The most important thing is that if you are selling items that are used on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, that you owned them before and then you decided to sell, they're not required to provide you or the IRS with details of your transactions, and the threshold at $600 for 2023, it's going to be much higher. So you'd have to be really getting on it to accomplish that. So let's celebrate this. Let's give it a little smile, a little whoop whoop. It's good times. Now, on another topic, if you do own an LLC, there is another new filing in 2024. Now, this is if you don't qualify for an exemption, and I've provided a link to the 23 exceptions in the actual newsletter. But with the entities that I encounter, the most likely reason to have an exception is if they had 20 or more employees. So check that link, see where your business stands before you start really kind of considering what this means. But now the reason that I'm covering this is because at last check, 39% of Americans had a side hustle. Many of these side hustles have people opening LLCs to separate their personal and business interests and liabilities. If this sounds like you, pay attention. You will need to file a report of beneficial ownership information, referred to as a BOI, report. Essentially, the corporate maze of ownership for some entities has gotten so complex, intentionally or not, that it's challenging to see where money is going within our economy. The specific intent here is to find out who really owns companies and is receiving benefit from that ownership. This report is filed electronically with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, also known as FinCEN, through their website. If you own and operate a single member LLC, this shouldn't be too bad of a process. If you're part of a group that has apprehension about giving that information, or has a convoluted ownership structure, or intentionally has set up multiple LLCs feeding other LLCs, this could get costly to file or to avoid. I'd love to give you a heads up as to what to expect to pay to have someone file this for you. But due to there being questions and concerns in two industries considering these reports, the legal and accounting fields, I've yet to hear from my insurance company if they consider this a legal filing or a tax form. Thus, I don't even know if I'll be allowed to do these for any of my clients. But FinCEN anticipates that the cost to file or to have somebody do this filing for you will be between $85.14 and $2,614.87, and I have no clue where they came up with those numbers. Penalties for not filing start with civil penalties of $500 a day that you are unfiled from when you're supposed to be, or a timely filing, and continues with criminal fines of up to $10,000 and going to prison for up to 2 years. Yowza. This is a 2024 filing, so there is time, but it is something to put on the radar if you have beneficial ownership as defined by FinCEN over an LLC. Lastly, here are my tax recommendations for the year end for many of you who would be reading this that are also my clients. If you carry inventory, schedule a day for the end of the day closest to when you're going to quit operating for the year, or December 31st or first thing January 1st, to do a full inventory count at your cost of your inventory that is still for sale, so that you can provide your tax preparer, yourself, me, somebody else, with accurate inventory numbers at the end of your operating year. Number two, make sure that you sum up the total mileage for each car that you use within your business. It's easy to just think that we need to give our tax preparer our business miles, but we do have to input the total for mileage, and reporting that accurately is important. If you have a small business, the minimum standards for getting someone to prepare your tax return from your bookkeeping records, if you do your books yourself, is currently going in multiple directions. One is safer for you and the preparer, and the other is, well, not so much. Make sure that you're reconciling your books at least at the end of the year for all operating accounts. This will increase the likelihood that a tax person will be willing to take on the liability of preparing your return. It's been quite a year for many of us, and I hope you've had some great experiences and accolades and are poised for a fantastic 2024. I must thank all of you who have listened to this and watched or read any of my prior monthly newsletters or work with me in my personal practice for continuing to trust me with your tax situation. I've gained more notoriety this year for my professional presence with the decision by Intuit to have me be the brand ambassador and face of TurboTax Business for 2024. I wouldn't have received that opportunity had it not been for this process of writing, speaking, and developing in the tax field, and many of you have had a direct hand in that process, and I thank you. Beyond that, best wishes for 2024. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can call. You can go to my website, chatcpas.com. Has nothing to do with ChatGPT. You can email me, chris@chatcpas.com. And I will do everything I can to help you or get you in with somebody who can if I can. Take care.